A trembling voice cut through the laughter like a knife. "Signori, may I play for a plate of food?" The hall roared with laughter again, loud and cold. 200 wealthy men and women, gathered for a lavish banquet, exchanged glances. And then everyone saw him, a boy of about 10, thin, barefoot, with eyes that reflected the dust and hunger of the streets. He stood in the middle of the hall, shivering, but not from fear, from cold and hunger. "How did he get in here?" someone muttered. "Security!" another shouted. But the boy did not move. His thin shoulders looked fragile, but his gaze was stubborn. At the grand piano in the center of the hall, black as the night, sat a man no one expected, an elderly African-American, gray at the temples, with ebony skin and hands that knew the keys better than any conductor. He was rich, so rich they called him an oligarch, and yet there was no trace of condescension in his eyes. He raised his hand, stopping the guards. "Wait," he said, his deep voice carrying the weight of decades lived. "Let the child try." Vincenti Barbosa, the 45-year-old owner of half the companies represented in that room, sneered. "This is a farce. The boy will soil the piano. Remove him." But the old man did not move. His fingers touched the keys, and the hall fell silent. A single note rang out, pure as a child's laugh, but heavy with the strength of a lived life. "You see," he said to the hall, "music knows no class. It does not ask who you are, billionaire or street child. Music asks only one thing. Do you have a soul?" He arose heavily, as if stepping down from a pedestal, and gestured to the boy. "Go, play." The boy approached the piano. His dirty hands trembled, not from fear, but from anticipation. The crowd whispered. Laughter sparked again. "He doesn't even know how to sit," Vicente said loudly. "Let's give him a chance. If he can play anything decent, I'll buy him dinner." Laughter like applause in a gladiator arena. They expected humiliation. The boy sat. His feet barely reached the floor. He ran his hand over the keys as if caressing them, and closed his eyes for a moment. And then the first note sounded, and the hall froze. It was pure, clear, like a drop of rain in the desert. Then came the second, the third. A simple melody, but in it was more sincerity than in all the oligarch's speeches that night. The old man stood beside him, watching with a gaze that held both mentorship and recognition. He knew there was something in this child, something no millions could buy. Vicente frowned. It's chance. He can't—" But his words drowned in the music. The boy played as if each note were his last chance. He had no technique, but he had heart, and that heart captured the hall. The laughter died. Some even closed their eyes, letting the music touch what they had long forgotten. When the melody ended, silence followed, real, deep silence. The old man leaned toward the boy, his voice soft but loud enough for all to hear. "You played the truth, son, and truth is worth more than gold."
"He doesn't even know how to sit," Vicente said loudly. "Let's give him a chance. If he can play anything decent, I'll buy him dinner." Laughter like applause in a gladiator arena. They expected humiliation. Applause burst out, sudden and raw, like ragged breath. Vicente sat frozen, pale as chalk, His world was crumbling. He wanted to shout that it was absurd, but no words came. The old man turned to the hall. "Tonight I showed you a small musician. Tomorrow he may stand among you as an equal. Do not forget this." His eyes met Vicenti's, and the oligarch looked away. And the boy still sat at the piano, staring at the keys as though they were a doorway to another world. A world where the worth of a human being was measured not by suits and accounts, but by what sounded from the depths of the soul. When the applause faded, the boy did not move. His fingers still trembled over the keys, as if the music within him had not yet ended. The old man almost placed a hand on his shoulder, but something stopped him, a strange sense that beside him sat not just a child. From that night, the story of the boy spread faster than any stock market news. No one knew who he was or where he had come from, but everyone repeated the same name, Sebastian. He did not play for stages or titles. He played where there was pain, in slums and under bridges, in abandoned schools and hospitals. His melodies sounded over cities where people had long forgotten how to dream. And everywhere the same thing happened. The crowd gathered out of curiosity, but stayed because the heart would not let go. People left changed. Workers stopped drinking so they could come again. Mothers sang lullabies to their children again. The young believed life could still change. Sebastian's music became a spark. It was recorded secretly, uploaded online. The video spread by the millions. Even those who had mocked the hungry boy with the piano could not remain indifferent. But with the wonder came fear. Vicenti and his clan felt their power slipping. Their rule rested on fear and greed, and Sebastian shattered both. His music made people free.
"He is more dangerous than any revolutionary," Vicente said at closed meetings. "Revolutionaries have weapons. He has the hearts of men." The oligarchs struck back. First, through the press. Impostor, a puppet of hidden forces, dangerous fanatic. But the articles failed. People had heard the music and knew the truth. Then came money. They offered him millions for a contract. Sebastian refused. "I do not sell music. Music is not a commodity." That inspired people even more. Finally, Vicente made his choice. "If we don't stop him now, tomorrow he will be the voice of the people, and the voice of the people is our end." And so the hunt began. The more they pressed, the faster the movement grew. People gathered in secret concerts, in basements and old theaters. Some brought candles, some bread and milk to share with the boy. In that darkness, a new brotherhood was born. They said, "He plays as if God himself breathes through his fingers. His music is us." And one day, Sebastian told them, "I did not come to be your idol. I came to remind you that each of you carries music within. I only played it aloud first." Those words became the beginning of what was later called the Sebastian movement. One night, after a secret concert in an old theater, Sebastian walked the empty streets with a few students. The city slept, but in the shadows, the hunt stirred. A black car swerved around the corner. Doors flew open. Masked men pulled out guns. "Run!" someone cried. But Sebastian did not run. He raised his hands as if conducting the air itself. And then, in his eyes, the same light flared, the light seen by all who had ever heard his music. "I am not afraid," he said, "because music is stronger than death." A shot shattered the night. The boy fell. The silence after the shot was heavier than the bullet. The masked men vanished, leaving the body on the pavement. But the silence did not last. Windows opened. Residents came out, some with candles, some with violins, some with nothing but hearts full of grief. And suddenly, someone began to sing. Another voice joined, and another. Soon the whole street thundered with the song Sebastian had played that very first night at the piano. By morning, the whole city knew Sebastian was dead. By noon, the whole country knew. By evening, the world knew. But the music did not die. People carried it within themselves. They sang, they drummed on old pans, they played violins and pianos. Children who had been taught to be silent raised their voices. Workers sang in factories. Even soldiers sometimes lowered their weapons just to listen. And in every sound, Sebastian lived. Vicente tried to justify himself, said it was an accident, that the boy had brought it upon himself. But his words drowned in an ocean of song. The more he spoke, the louder the music grew. Years later, the name Sebastian had become a symbol of freedom. His image was painted on walls, his name scribbled on scraps of paper passed hand to hand. People said, "They killed him, but they could not silence him. He is within us." And Vicente vanished. Some said he died in his mansion, in the silence he had feared all his life. But no one remembered him. Sebastian, however, became eternal. They called him many things: the little Messiah of music, the child with the piano, the voice of truth, but most often they called him simply Sebastian. And wherever a melody arose that resembled his first simple song, people smiled and said to each other, "Listen, it's him. He is still playing."